at talking into a microphone. Doesn't make their knowledge any more than yours. Same with me. I don't feel like some of you guys in here, like Mike Pendleton is in like 35 leagues, and they're all IDP. Listen, like it or not, this kid has a little more broad understanding of fantasy football than I do. I mean, it's true. He plays in a bigger league with more guys. He's got to know more. I mean, that's the reality of it. Is a lot of people on the radio that people call in and they want to just, like it's set in stone. Whatever this guy says is definitely going to happen. Well, usually that guy doesn't know any more than you. He might just be better at talking. Me, on the other hand, I'm super intelligent and I'm a good talker. So you guys lucked out that you're listening to me. Yep. Yeah, my wife just went by. She's a beauty. I love her. She's my favorite. Okay. I wanted to, while I was here, and I was hoping Mark was going to be in the chat room so he could give me a definite time. Elwood, you may know. Mark does a show, my friend Mark Graham, he does a show on blogtalkradio.com with one of his buddies that runs a site called Fantasy Football Masterminds. And this guy, I think, lives in Vegas, and they do this show over the phone. It's on Blog Talk, and I believe it's on every Tuesday, and I want to say 8 o'clock. Elwood, do you know what time it's on? I know that you know a little bit about that show. Anyhow, if you just go to blogtalkradio.com, 10 Elwood's time, so that would be 9 my time. Okay, is that right? Are we on the same time? No. What are we? I don't know, Elwood. Don't you guys never change time, do you? Aren't you just one steady time all year? Yeah, I think that would be 9 then, Central Time. Yeah, Mark does this show with, like I said, with his buddy that runs this fantasy football mastermind, and it gets a ton of listeners and a ton of viewers, and anyhow, it's a good show. I always go and listen to the replay. If you just go to blogtalkradio.com and then search for Fantasy Football Masterminds, it'll pop up. All right, and then you can listen to the replays. But if you want to hear it live, it's every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. It's only 30 minutes, I believe, but it's fantasy football. And, Mark's buddy definitely knows his stuff, and I know Mark knows his stuff. So it's worth listening to, and I haven't plugged his show yet, and I wanted to do that. So if you're into fantasy football and you just can't get enough of it, Tuesday night, it starts. It starts on Blog Talk Radio. Wednesday night, it carries over onto my site, which, of course, is ericpedigo.com, also simulcasting on basementradio.net. Let's see, Mark Show. You know what's starting, and it started already. I think it's on right now. The Ultimate Fighter. And I have my DVR set up, and I'm going to watch it. This is going to be a good season of The Ultimate Fighter. It's heavyweights. It's all heavyweights. And there's 4, former NFL players. One of them, a guy from Springfield, a guy named Matt Mitrione, played at Sacred Heart Griffin. He's on the show, but the star of the show is obviously Kimbo Slice. I'm sure you've heard of him. But I ran into, a month or so ago, we were at our kids' come meet the teacher kindergarten party. And I ran into a guy I went to school with named Justin Robbins. And if you don't know who Justin Robbins is, he's from right around here, Central Illinois area. He's into the Ultimate Fighting. He's into the MMA. He was on the Elite XC roster before it went under. And he actually fought on the same card as Kimbo Slice. He'd met him, hung out with him a little bit. Says he's a really nice guy. Anyhow, I talked to Justin a little bit while I was at this little Meet the Teacher conference. And he's actually running, Justin is, a gym right here in Springfield, and it's I think it's just called Robbins Gym or something. But he teaches MMA, right? He teaches all aspects of mixed martial arts, and he's doing a pretty good job. So I talked to him. I said, "Hey man, how would you like to come on the show? We'll talk a little bit about your gym and what you're doing there, and we'll talk a little bit about just kind of what's going on in the world of UFC and the world of MMA. You can tell us a little bit about Kimbo Slice since you've met him personally. You've talked to him. You've been in the same locker room. So give us a little insight on some of the guys he knows. He'll let us know what he thinks about the sport in general and where it's at. Anyhow, a really cool guy. Like I said, I went to school with him, and I'm going to get him on the show soon, and we're going to talk some mixed martial arts because I love mixed martial arts. So cool. I can't wait to watch The Ultimate Fighter. I'm so jacked. Fantasy football face punch time. How you guys feel about that?
The fantasy football face punch.
Ready, down, put.
All right. God, I love Tech Mobile music. Don't you? No, you have to. It just brings you back every time. I just want to be Bo Jackson, and I want to run for 1,100 yards in one game. All right. Top 5 QBs this week. No particular order. I mean, they kind of are, but really the top 5 are interchangeable. I love Aaron Rodgers this week. They're at home against Cincinnati. Rodgers had kind of an off week. Only went for like 185 and a touchdown against Chicago last week. They're at home for the second week, but this time they're against Cincinnati. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to bounce back and have a big week. Another guy, Peyton Manning. Figure you like that, Elwood. At Miami, Monday night game. Look, Manning got off to a quick start. Went for over 300 yards. Colts won, barely, but they won. Reggie Wayne had a million catches for a zillion yards. Peyton Manning is fine. He had no offseason knee surgeries, so he's just ready right out of the gate. And he's going to have another big night this week. No problem. Monday Night Football, he's going to light it up. Also, Drew Brees at Philadelphia, Brett Favre at Detroit, and Joe Flacco at San Diego. I tell you what, Drew Brees threw 6 touchdown passes in Week 1. Unbelievable. Sure, he was playing Detroit, but still, who does that? Who does that? I want to know, and I'm going to ask on Fantasy Football 101 this weekend, I want to ask people to call in if they successfully took on Drew Brees in Week 1. I want to know if anyone played against Drew Brees and actually came out with a win. I mean, did anybody actually win that was playing against Drew Brees or Adrian Peterson for that matter? I mean, there's no way. These guys were amazing. Brett Favre at Detroit. Listen, Favre wasn't asked to do much in Week 1, and he won't be asked to do much in Week 2. I mean, he could just hand it to AP every time, but, I mean, they are at Detroit, so even if you're not trying, you'll still go for 250 and a couple touchdowns. I like Brett Favre to kind of open it up a little bit and kind of air that arm out a little bit and get a few touchdowns against Detroit and a few hundred yards. I like Brett Favre. Also, Joe Flacco at San Diego. I told you last week he was a sleeper pick. I said it on 101. I said it here. I said I love Joe Flacco. What's he do? He comes out, goes for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in Week 1. This kid's the real deal. I mean, this kid is the real deal. And TJ, you were gone last week, but I changed my pick. I changed my Super Bowl pick to the Baltimore Ravens. I know. I'm hitching my wagon to the Ravens. I can't help it. I think they're that good. I like Joe Flacco a lot. I mean, AFC Championship last year, they lost, sure, but they went with a rookie quarterback. This year, even better. This kid's unbelievable. All right, running backs. AP at Detroit. Maurice Jones-Drew at home against Arizona. Chris Johnson at home against Houston. Clinton Portis at home against St. Louis. And D'Angelo Williams at Atlanta. AP, this guy went 180 and 3 touchdowns against Detroit. Ridiculous. Or against, did I do something wrong? No. Against Cleveland. Who did they play last week? Yeah, against Cleveland he goes for 180 and 3 touchdowns. Sorry, brain fart. I mean, that's an easy pick. Maurice Jones-Drew, I said going in, listen, this guy could be in point per reception leagues. He's probably the number 1 guy. I had him ranked at number 1. He totally delivered in Week 1. Went for 90-some yards with a touchdown, and then added another 30 or 40 through the air with a few catches. Put up a big number. And this weekend, he's at home against Arizona. Well, I'm sorry, but Arizona did not look good. I like Jones-Drew to have a big week. Chris Johnson, Tennessee running back Chris Johnson. I expect to have a bounce-back week from Chris Johnson.